Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to open up my very last jar of blueberry jam that I processed almost 9 years ago. Alright, going on 9 years old. I processed this in 2013. We're going to open it up, see what it looks like, see what it tastes like, and I'm going to tell you some of the benefits that there is to storing jams, not only blueberry, but jams in particular. Not only can you store the actual fruit, but you're also able to store a lot of sugar. Any of you that have made jellies and jams in the past, you know that the main ingredient in that is sugar, besides a little bit of pectin, lemon juice or lime juice, or citric acid if you're using that, water, and the fruit itself. But the benefits of having blueberries, ladies and gentlemen, it is such a good fruit to store, and I couldn't find a better way but to store it in jam. Why? Because it's delicious, number one, and it lasts a very long time, as long as you process it correctly. Now, the reason I'm doing this video mainly is not just to tell you about the benefits of having blueberries in your preps, but to show you so that you won't be scared of processing a large batch of blueberry jam or strawberry jam or whatever jam you may want to process and keeping it on your shelf in your pantry for long term. This jar right here, as you can see, is almost 9 years old, and let's go ahead and take a look at what it looks like when I open it up. Here's the same jar you just saw in the picture, and as you can see, I processed this jam in April of 2013, way before I started this channel and even well before I moved to Alaska. When my family and I lived in Washington State, we visited a blueberry farm where you could pick your own blueberries, and that is where the blueberries in this jar came from. Now let's go ahead and open up this jar of blueberries because I'm pretty excited to see what it's like. I just finished the last jar that we had opened, and as you can see, this jar looks really good. It's still very well sealed. You can see I can't even pry it open with my fingers, with my hands, and it actually looks really good. So let's go ahead and see if we can open this up and see if it even still has a suction sound. And there you go. I'm not sure if you were able to hear that, but you can hear that very small suction sound. And let's open it up and look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This just looks great. It looks very good. There's no mold, there's no nothing, and I wasn't really worried that there was going to be anything bad in this because of the way that I had it stored and because of the way that it looked outside when I was looking at it. Now, let's take a look and see what the consistency is like. This one looks like it kept this consistency pretty well. Not bad for being just shy of 9 years old. And look at this. It just looks delicious. Now, the way that I'm going to eat this, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to try it first, just by itself. And then I'm also going to try with some toast. And we're going to test out that new butter. You know that Kerrygold butter that I always rave about? Well, you know that Kirkland came out with their own brand, which comes in a green box, and it's made in New Zealand, whereas Kerrygold is made in Ireland. But right now, let's go ahead and put a little bit of jam in this homemade toast that I have here. I made some whole wheat toast that came out great. And as you can see, I've already put a little bit of that butter on it. So let's see how this comes out. This looks really good. And look at how good that jam looks, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and give it a try just by itself. And I know that some of you think that I never taste this stuff, so I thought I'd show you my ugly mug tasting it. And I'll tell you what. Wow, that's really good. It's still really sweet. It doesn't taste off at all. It tastes delicious. This is something that even if you don't want to keep it long term, you ought to definitely try it. Let's go ahead and spread some of this on this wheat bread that I made. And the ingredients for this wheat bread is very simple. I actually made it in my bread machine. Very simple. It came with a recipe booklet, but I went ahead and put in my own recipe in there because I feel that the one that comes with the recipe, the wheat bread comes out a little too dense, but I went ahead and put in my own recipe. Now let's go ahead and give this a try and see what it tastes like. And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this is delicious. Now, this is obviously homemade bread, and I have my own recipe for my wheat bread, which doesn't make it very dense. It kind of keeps it nice and fluffy, and it's not very dense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that I've convinced some of you that storing your own homemade jams and other foods that you process is worth the effort, because if properly stored and properly processed, it will store for a very long time. And for those of you that may be asking, what is the longest that this jar of blueberries or preserves will keep after you open it? I've kept a jar of different types of jams and jellies in my refrigerator for up to 6 months after opening it, and it was still just fine. I did notice though that when I keep grape jelly in the refrigerator for a long time, it starts to crystallize a little bit, but that doesn't really affect the taste or the texture very much, and it still tastes just fine. Having said that, thank you very much for joining in. I hope you got something out of this. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out.